Okay, last episode. Let's see. Final Fantasy 4. Okay. This starts the Super Nintendo era. When Final Fantasy in general got a huge boost in popularity compared to before, anyway. And for good reason. Final Fantasy 4 is so much better in just what it managed to do for the series. First of all, the plot doesn't suck for this game. So that's great. As a matter of fact, it's about the best it ever was at the time. Because you have a lot of characters that you can really feel for. You have Cecil, who has this complicated relationship with Rosa. You have Kane, who is struggling to try to find his place in fighting for the right thing, and constantly getting screwed over in the process. You have Rydia, who loses her entire family and village, and feels pain from the loss, and has to figure out what she's gonna do. So, and she initially hates Cecil because she blames him for bringing the object that destroys her village, but it doesn't last. She learns the truth and tries to be friends with Cecil instead, and the two do form a pretty good friendship. Cecil himself admits he's pretty dependent on Rydia because she's a skilled mage, and that could be very useful since he's by himself. Also, can I mention that Cecil is like the biggest jinx in this game ever? Like, nothing but bad things happen to this guy every time he turns around. Like disasters seem to follow this guy. A channel called Super Gaming Brothers did a Let's Play of Final Fantasy IV, and they made a joke about every time something bad would happen in this game, Rydia would like look over towards Cecil and say, "Jinx!" every single time. Oh man, I love that joke. It's kind of true though. Like seriously, this guy never catches a break, even by the end of the game. But yeah, the plot to this game is really good. And I love the character interaction. I love the music, the gameplay. It's just a really good game overall. The only really flaw I could probably find in it at all is the fact that this is one of those games that likes to constantly experiment with new party lineups. Like, the plot gives you a reason for why your party members keep switching out. And it's not a trend I'm fond of. Because I get used to having certain party members with me, and they keep switching them out. Now, don't get me wrong. It makes sense. I understand that. For the game. But I still don't like it. And I'm going to save, since I have the money I need. And I don't want to risk getting a game over before I get there. Knowing me, that would happen. But yeah, Final Fantasy IV, pretty great game. I just wish the villain was a bit better, honestly. Because the main villain... Well, the main villain is this guy called Golbez, and you know he's pretty good. But the real villain, the one that's pulling the strings, he's about as boring as you can get. They don't even try to make him into a decent character at all. He's just kind of the final boss. And that's it. Final Fantasy V. Yeah, you remember how much of a disappointment Final Fantasy III was? Well, Final Fantasy V was their answer to that. Because it does everything right that Final Fantasy III did wrong. Okay, first of all, class system is back with a vengeance. And you get the classes in just about the same way as in 3 as well. You try to protect these crystals from being broken by elemental forces, but you always fail, and they crack into crystal shards. You collect the shards, and they give you magical powers, allowing you to turn into different class jobs. And ooh boy, the class system is better than ever. No more job levels. They don't exist anymore. That's great. Not only that, but you can actually customize different skills with different jobs and mix and match. So you can actually have a knight that can use black magic, a black mage that can also use white magic, and vice versa. You can have a monk who can use the guard command. I mean, the possibilities are almost endless in this game. And it's really fun to experiment with stuff. It's really great. And the plot's not too bad either. I mean, it's not as good as 4's plot, but I am kind of fond of it, and I'm getting off of that. I would recommend it. Now, character-wise, they don't really do as much with the main cast, because they keep the focus where it should be on the amazing gameplay that they made, but the characters aren't bad, though. I really do enjoy the interactions with the characters when it happens. And there is a lot of legit tragic moments in this game. Way more that was in Final Fantasy IV. I mean, jeez, they go full-on tragedy here. It actually that actually reminds me of Final Fantasy II more than anything else because of just how often it happens. Now, the villain in this game, I feel, does a much better job of being overall threatening than the villain in Final Fantasy IV, because there's not really much to his personality, but he's an effective villain. He tells you right off the gate that he plans on taking over the original world he's from, and then he's coming back for this one. So yeah, that kind of sucks. Gotta stop this guy. Not the easiest thing in the world to pull off, though. Back home, he has an army that he can use at will, and he's a pretty powerful mage himself. Fully able to hold his own against you, even at your strongest. Yeah, you definitely don't want to mess with this guy, I'll say that. Okay, I need to know where this town is, and I kind of forget. I think it's down at the bottom. But, Final Fantasy V is definitely one of those games I will replay over and over again, because I can't get enough of it. They, actually released it for the Game Boy Advance and actually added extra jobs to it and an extra bonus area to explore, so... Oh shit. Well, where is this town at, damn it? Final Fantasy VI. Oh boy. I'm pretty sure that nobody that's talked about this game has ever said anything else except that it's one of the best RPGs of all time, or at least one of the best. In my personal opinion, I don't think it's quite as good as people think it is, but it is a great game. I'll say that going in. I don't think it's the best RPG ever made, but it is a very good RPG, and I'm about to explain why. Basically, this game starts off in about the probably most uncomfortable way possible. It gives you some minor backstory about the world setting, about magic and technology and stuff. What was I doing? I'm getting tired, damn it. Okay. Flame Sword. Definitely want this. Okay. But it starts off in a very uncomfortable way, though, because you have these two knights and these mech-like contraptions called the Magitech Armor, and they talk to this girl who's inside one of them, and she doesn't really have much to say on the matter, considering that they have this thing around her neck that basically cuts off... they brought back the tomato thing. But, they have this thing around her neck that basically cuts her brain off from the rest of her body, and instead pretty much makes her a mind-controlled slave to them. It's not even like brainwashing or mind control where you can resist. Everything about this slave crown, as they call it, basically seems to tell you that once this is on you, you are basically a robot. You have to do what they tell you to do. And you can't resist their control at all, so... Already, this game kind of makes you feel like, oh god, like, what are they gonna make this girl do? And you're quick to find out the answer to that question. They send her out in front in her armor and basically tell her to kill anyone that moves until they complete their mission there. Well, that's certainly something. Just, wow. I hope she's totally okay with that, and even if she wasn't, I guess it doesn't matter. Yep, that is indeed a problem. However, their mission is to find this giant crystal that something called an Esper is in. And, well, when they find it, let's just say things don't go according to plan. The Esper is strong enough to downright to decimate the two men, and it does something to the young lady in the armor. It's kind of unclear what that something is. It looks like she just blows up, but she wakes up relatively fine in a small house. So it couldn't have been that destructive. Then again, this is a Japanese RPG. A freaking nuke could hit you and you could still survive, so... what do I know? Now, whoever found her did take the slave crown off, so her brain starts working the way it's supposed to. But she has a bad case of amnesia due to the strain of it coming off. Perfectly understandable, honestly. I mean, that thing was restraining her brain from working. I imagine taking it off and her brain working again would cause some sort of negative reaction. Okay, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So... I was right that it's in the marsh area. So I need to remember... I'm not going to remember that, so just a moment. Let me bring up paint and paste that in. Got it. Okay. Yeah, that'll do. I hope that picture is enough to remind me. Oh, God. You guys? How? I'm surprised I'm doing so well fighting these guys. It's mostly just good luck on my part, but my luck is not going to hold through for very much longer. About the time a green dragon shows up. And I'm not even going to bother with you guys. Screw you. Yeah, definitely not messing around with them. Yeah, I'm not going to mess around with you guys either. Okay. Okay, you guys kind of concern me. Well, not as bad as I would have thought, but alright. Well, I'm back at the swamp area, faster than I thought I was going to. Okay. This is South 12. Now, let's see here. Where's that screenshot? Okay. One, two, three, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, stop. Stop, stop, stop. This should be 12. At least that's what I count. I mean, I could be wrong? I'm beginning to really wonder if you can't find this item until an event happens with the prince. I'm willing to wager that that's the case here. Because I feel like I should have it by now. Because I've searched all over this section right here, and according to the info that I'm going by here, that's where it would be. So, yeah. I got nothing. Anyways, I'm getting way off topic here. I should really be talking about Final Fantasy VI some more. It just bugs me that I can't find this item since I'm in the general area now. But, I guess I can't get it yet. I'm just gonna leave this section for now. Okay. Final Fantasy VI is really hard to talk about because so much happens, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. But there's a lot of interesting characters with interesting backstories in this game, and they all tie in together pretty well. It also has some of the more tragic parts of different RPGs, because there's actually one scene that actually caused people to really question whether, like for me, I always thought about the beginning of the game with the slave crown, and I thought, this is the Final Fantasy game that is going to try to really handle difficult subject matter and see if they can get away with it. And for the most part, it seems like they did, although I will say that for the most part, I feel like some elements, even today, are kind of squeamish. Like, the slave crown thing is really pushing it, because you're essentially introducing an object into the story where, basically, if they manufactured it, they'd have essentially an army of actual living beings that were loyal robots that would follow their every whim. And it would create a huge dilemma with people thinking about the tragedy of taking human life, because they're obviously not in control of their actions, but they're still going to do those actions, and they're not going to find anyone who's going to be resisting them. So, how do you justify that? Well, the obvious answer is you can't, and it just shows that people would have a hard time coming to grips with something like that. Thankfully, the slave crown, for some reason or another, it just seems to disappear off the face of the earth as soon as you get past the beginning part. Nobody really mentions it ever again, and I think, while I do believe that's for the best, it always does kind of perplex me, though, that that was the case, because people are like, well, what the heck happened to the slave crown idea? Like, was there only the one slave crown and they never bothered making another one? What was the reason for it? Well, we're not giving one. I mean, we're not given one. But I think it's just because that they wrote themselves into a corner and really just didn't want to go through the trouble of trying to come up with a dumb excuse for it. But it is good that they did. I certainly wouldn't have liked that idea to stick around for very long, you know? It would have been pretty bad, honestly. Another thing that is kind of questionable is the concept of attachment to a character and showing how some people might react to it, because there's legit a moment where a character almost dies, and it actually has a huge effect on people. As a matter of fact, so much so that it's probably it makes the top 10 lists of most traumatic scenes in any RPG. And I kind of understand why. Like, this scene, I'll say it, for me, it's going a little too far, because, you know what, I'm just gonna spoil it, and hope that this doesn't bother anyone. Celeste, who, is a lone survivor on a small island after their world of balance gets completely wrecked by Kefka, the main villain of the game. She wakes up in an island that only she and an old man named Sid managed to survive, and even then, very barely. He's deadly sick. And so Celeste, finally waking up from a coma for going through a few weeks, I think. Or was it months? I forget. Anyways, she takes care of him now, and she has to find fish to feed him. Now, there's essentially two ways you can solve this problem, but the most likely scenario is that you're gonna find the slow-moving fish in the water, since that's mostly what shows up. And over time, the fish will actually intoxicate him and will kill him. She comes back to him one day, wondering if he's just refusing to eat, and he's completely silent. And she's left on this island all by herself, thinking everyone else in the world is dead. And she breaks. Like, she literally breaks. You see her crying her eyes out, you see her running off, and she goes to a cliff and attempts suicide. That, I feel, is going a little too far in my eyes, because I think it hits a little too close for some people that actually may have relatives that have gone through something like this. And it's played a little too straight. I mean, this is, like, really, really an emotional scene for a lot of people. I don't think anyone has really complained about the scene, but they have said it hits them pretty hard. And I feel if I was a member of the family that have had relatives that have gone through something like that, seeing a scene like this in an RPG I like would probably just hit me a little too hard. I mean, I understand why they're doing this. They're pretty much trying to make it seem like a realistic turn for the character. And I certainly do understand it. But I still think, for the way it was used, it's a bit too hard. It's a bit too harsh for the character. I feel like there are other routes they could have taken to make it come off a little less harsh, but that's me. This game also has a very good opera scene in it, which I like a lot. It's a very emotional song. And while the Super Nintendo version couldn't get an actual opera singer to do the role, I think the Super Nintendo version is better off not having that, because I've compared the two versions, and the Super Nintendo one I feel is the better song, but that's me. I'm sorry. I'll try to wrap this up, though, because I'm trying not to be too detailed in talking about each game, otherwise I'll be here all night. But Final Fantasy VI does deserve a lot of the praise it gets. It's just a bit overrated in my eyes. I'll talk about the 3D titles that we would later get in the next couple of recordings I do of this game. Man, playing this game now is going to get a bit on the boring side, since I'm doing nothing but grinding at this point, and preparing for the final slog before I end up beating the game. So, that'll be interesting. Anyways, I'll talk to you later.